Hello and welcome to Unit 3, Choices and Decisions. So in this unit we're going to be looking at electricity costs, we're going to be looking at water conservation, so on and so forth. Now, a lot of people are going to be thinking all of a sudden, well, why are we doing science in this course? Here, my main focus is the math on it, and we're looking at cost. It all comes back to money for us, and that's what I want you to be aware of, is the costs that are associated with those particular topics with conservation when we're looking at water conservation and electrical conservation. So very, very important, very, very practical. So what are we talking about? Energy conservation, and here's the conversation that we have here. What we want to do is we want to save money. That's ultimately what our goal is in life. We want to save money. So one of your first tasks in this first lesson, you're going to go through and you are going to identify some of the areas of waste that exist in your home and also within the school itself. So we want to save money. So we're looking at two specific areas. We're looking at electricity, and then we're also looking at water consumption. And I'm just going to speak to each of those very briefly. All right, so why are they important? Let's start off with the electricity. So there's a huge thing going on. Whether you're paying attention or not to the news, you will find that there is conversations going on about nuclear power plants. There's a contingency of people that don't want them. There is a contingency that wants wind turbines, and then there is a group of people that don't. So wind turbines, solar panels. So all of these are generators of electrical energy for us. And then hydroelectric dams, and that's something for Ontario with Niagara Falls. All right, so looking at that, what is our problem, or what's the reason that we're having this conversation? Well, our population is growing, and our energy consumption is growing accordingly. So as population increases, more and more energy is required, electricity is required. Everyone is now it's more common for people to have air conditioners. There's more houses being built every day. So as our population swells, we need to find ways to A, generate this needed electricity, but also, how do we save? How do we save? Because as electricity goes up, so does our costs, or our demand for electricity. As it goes up, our cost of electricity is going to increase also the same. So it's very, very important that we're aware of what electricity we're using. Now, water consumption. With water consumption, again, the major issue here is lower levels in lakes. So if you look at cottage country, if you're up in that area looking at cottages, you'll notice that the docks look like they were built too far back. That's because of lower water levels. If you go to Lake Huron, the shores there, you'll see that the water has receded. So we do have lower levels in lakes, which translates to lower water levels in tables. So in our water tables. Oops. So also a major issue because that's our drinking water. And it's the exact same issue that we have, okay? The exact same issue that we're dealing with here. Oops. It's exactly that. As our population increases, we need more and more water to satisfy the need. So, very important when we're talking about being aware of the consumption. It's just gotten out of hand on me here. There we go. All right, so very, very similar. So, does water consumption cost money? Okay, so again, how do we save? Does water consumption cost money? If you live in town, then the answer is yes. If you live out in the countryside, the answer is no, okay, because you're on probably a private well, and on a private well, you are just having the cost of pumping that water. But there's still a concern as this water level goes down, are we going to have the water available for the future. So very, very important to be aware of the savings that are there. And that's where our major focus is. Everything that we're going to talk about, I'm going to relate it back to cost. Why is that important? Because as you get older, you start getting your own apartment, you start getting your own houses, you will want to save money because things cost money. If you want to do cool stuff, you need to have the money to do it. So this is one area where you can think of. So hydro usage. So you've probably seen the hydro workmen around, and they've gone to every house now in Ontario, or virtually every house, and they've installed what we call the smart meter. All right. So the smart meter. Okay. So the smart meter, it basically tells you three things. How much do you use at peak? How much do you use at peak? So that means that peak is a certain time frame. I'm going to actually let you look that up for yourself because I want you to know where to go to find the stuff. And then how much do you use at mid time? I think that's what they call. And those are the transitional times. That's from the busy workday to the everyone's at home winding down. And then how much do you use on off, what they call off time? All right. So there we are. So that smart meter measures all the information and it sends the information to Hydro One. I want you to know what the hydrometer looks like because one of your tasks in this particular course or this unit is you're going to have to track down and find that meter on your house or apartment building for those who live in an apartment, and you're going to have to find that meter, and it's usually on the outside wall, usually near an entrance. It's usually accessible because hydro needs to be able to service it, so it shouldn't be it won't be difficult for you to find. Okay? For people that live in town, if you look inside your house, or it could be outside, it really depends on the municipality, but it's usually inside your house, you're going to go to the basement and you're going to go to the room you never go to, and where the water pipe comes through the wall from the town, you will find a meter on there, and it tells you how many meters of water, how many gallons of water you've used. Now, a lot of towns have just gone to a flat rate, so they don't have to pay someone to go look at these meters, but it's kind of neat. You can track how much water your house uses. If you're in the countryside, we don't have these types of meters when we go out to the country because you're not too concerned with how much water you've used. So that also allows you to track your water usage. Now, if you're out in town, out in the country, because you don't have to pay for the water, people feel a little bit more at liberty to use the water up. And something that they should still be concerned with from a science approach. In terms of cost, though, not nearly as important as the people that live in a town where you get charged by how much water you use. So what is your task for this unit? Well, I call it a unit project. It's really an ongoing task. The first thing you're going to do, you are going to use the iPad to find the pricing system for hydro. All right. So that means you're going to go to the Hydro One site, www.hydro1.com. You're going to go to that website. You're going to look up the tiered system. Okay, so you want to find the tiered pay system. And what I want you to include, so you just write this on a piece of paper, the times for each period. So as soon as you start done the video, you can go ahead and do this, and the cost for each period. Okay, I just want you to be aware of that cost. And the higher the cost, the more expensive it is, so keep that in mind. So that's going to be task one. Task two, you are going to perform an energy audit of your home. Energy audit for your home. And it's going to be an approximation. You're not going to be just sitting there looking over everyone's shoulder and measuring exactly how much everyone uses. But what you're going to do is you're going to come up with an approximation of how much energy, how much electricity, how much water you use. So I have a handout for this. So you'll get the handout from me. And what I want you to do is perform this over 2 to 3 days. Perform over 2 to 3 days. All right, so that means you're going to take a rough piece of paper home. You're going to track this over 2 to 3 days. We'll take an average, an approximation of how often, and from there, we'll then come up with an evaluation on your home usage. All right, so that is the end of your introduction to this unit, and we'll be moving into more of the traditional stuff later on, but it is mixed with some fairly practical material. So please keep that in mind as we move through.